Well, hello, friends. I have another guest episode for you today. Our guest is Veronica Cornejo, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Veronica is a devoted wife, proud mother, and published author whose first book debuted in January 2025. Currently, she is expanding her impact by producing an audiobook version and a Spanish translation to reach a broader audience. Her memoir is a raw, reflective journey through the most defining moments of her life, offering readers a front row seat to how God's presence transformed pain into purpose. From overcoming the challenges of being a teenage mother to breaking free from generational bondage, Veronica's story is one of resilience, redemption, and restoration. She serves full-time in vocational ministry at Elevation Church as a project manager, stewarding initiatives that strengthen community and kingdom impact. Outside of her professional role, Veronica is deeply committed to the spiritual development of others through volunteering with eGroups and serving as a Symbis facilitator, walking alongside married couples to equip them with Christ-centered tools for lasting relationships. She and her husband believe their family is both their calling and their mission, and they are passionate about being living proof that God can use every broken piece for His glory. Veronica's heart beats to see families healed, generational curses broken, and individuals walking in the fullness of their God-given identity. She believes that everyone has a divine imprint to leave on the world, one shaped by introspection, faith, and the unwavering love of God. Her book serves as a compelling reminder that we are all destined to rise and soar with confidence no matter how our stories begin. You guys, Veronica was very vulnerable in our episode and shared some things that she did share in her book, but doesn't necessarily super publicly speak about. And I'm just so grateful that she took the time out of her day to come on the show and just share a piece of her heart. And so without further ado, here is Veronica Cornejo on abortion recovery for Christian women. If you're tired of living with shame and guilt and want simple steps to heal, find peace, and feel less alone after abortion, you are in the right place. Hey, I'm Brittany, wife, homeschooling mom of two, abortion recovery coach, and pro-life speaker. I learned the secret of how to find healing and redemption from my past. Spoiler alert, it's Jesus. If you're ready for tactical post-abortion healing tips, biblical truth, and strategies for grieving forward, then this podcast is for you. Let's crack open that Bible and get ready to receive the good news. Well, hey friend, I want to invite you right now to book an abortion recovery breakthrough call with me. During our time together, we are going to learn how to partner with God and go through the necessary steps for you to heal from your past decision or decisions of abortion once and for all. Head to brittanypoppy.com/coaching to get started. Well, hello everyone. We are back for another episode today, and I have a very special guest to introduce you to. She has an amazing story, and I just cannot wait for you to hear what she has to share. So, Veronica, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. It's an absolute honor to have you here. And I would love if you would just kind of start out by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do so the listeners can have an idea of who they're getting to hear from today.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, my name is Veronica, and I am a mom. I've been married to my high school sweetheart we're going on to 14 years this year. And I have a teenager, and we got one adopted young adult, and I have a young adult. So total of 3 kids. And I work in full-time ministry at Elevation Church. I'm a project manager there with our eGroups teams. And love serving the church. My husband and I, we are facilitators with Symbis. It's a kind of like a mentor thing that we get to do with other married couples. So that's just something that we get to do on the side for fun. We love it. We're very passionate about other couples and pouring into them. And yeah, that's me.
That is so awesome. That sounds like such a fun and full kind of life and just a way to be able to serve in ministry. That sounds like it would be a lot of fun. I'm sure it's not without challenges, but it sounds like it's super rewarding.
It is. It is.
Yeah, that's
Sure is.
awesome. That is so cool. Well, of course, you have a testimony, and I would just love to kind of just let you have the floor for whatever you feel led to share with us. But we love a good testimony on the podcast. And so, why don't you go ahead and just share with us how you met Jesus?
Yes. So I my testimony really started from a place of being a teen mom. So that's kind of where my life was really transformed, changed completely. I became a mom at 16, and yeah, and then found Jesus in my early 20s. So I've had this opportunity to live a life without Christ. I didn't grow up in the church, but then found God in my life early 20s. So I've had this opportunity to kind of experience both ends, what it felt like to be without him in my life, trying to be a mom and trying to do all the things, and I thought I had it all together, and at one point he was protecting me. Like I felt like he was always with me, even though I did not invite him into my life. There was a protection there somehow, and I got to do a lot of things, but I got to the end of the things that I thought I had completed. I was a medical assistant for some time and thought I was going to be a nurse. It was going down that path, and things were great. And I got to the point where I was just kind of like, I don't know, it just felt very empty. Felt very like, what is my purpose? I know like I want to help people, but what does that look like for me? And during that season, we were going to church. Like we had started going to church, and we were getting plugged in, doing all the classes, all the parenting classes, just learning all the things very freshly, and wanted to see what the Bible said about everything. I felt like because we didn't grow up in the church and we wanted our children to experience God, we just didn't know where to start. And so for us, it was like, yes, we just need to get plugged into the church, take courses that the church is offering, just get involved. And that's really what did it for us. God really did just lead us the whole way, gave us a blueprint of things that He wanted us to do with the kids and the way we would raise them. And it's been beautiful to just see like the full circle of a lot of things in their lives now. But yeah, so I was involved in church pretty early in my early 20s. And then after that, I got, I was asked to come on part-time to work for the church with our children's ministry Spanish campus. And I took that on because I was able to because of my schedule, and it worked out perfectly. Then a year later was asked to come on full time, and that was a big thing. That was a big decision. That was a big thing just for our family in general. We were in a place where we were just trying to like fix our debt, trying to fix our credit, trying to buy a home, all the things. And it just didn't make sense. But God made it so clear. I remember He gave me, like during the week that I was supposed to respond to whether I was going to step into this full-time ministry role with children's ministry. He gave me a dream. He gave me a dream of just like seeing myself being in front of people, and it wasn't like a big crowd of people. It was a small group, honestly, but I was so confident. I was so confident in speaking to them and sharing my testimony, and I think that dream just gave me like a sense of like there's more. Like you're supposed to do more. There's more that I need you to do. Here I thought that I was going to be taking care of people in the physical side of things, right, in the medical field, but he was like, no, you're going to take care of people's souls. So that was really, really nice. It was huge for our family when we stepped into that. I remember something even crazy, like during that week that I was praying to say yes. In my heart, I knew, okay, it's going to be a yes. My husband actually got an offer from our church. They had no idea that they were offering us jobs at the same time. And it was just wild. Like for me, that was like, okay, Lord, I get what you're doing. You're just wanting to do something as a family. Like it was just a calling that I feel like God was just calling us as a family into ministry all together. And it was something that we were going to experience together. Yeah, and so that's been my journey. I mean, I worked in ministry for 7 years in children's ministry back in Maryland. And then I recently, it's been maybe like 3 years now that we've been living in North Carolina. Um, and I work for the local church now here again. So that's been really nice to just continue that ministry calling that I feel like our family has and to be plugged in that way.
Yeah, that is so cool. And I love one thing that you said about how even when you hadn't invited him in, you felt like he was always with you. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget that God promises in his word that he will never leave us and never forsake us. And that's even when we're not necessarily walking in his ways. And
Yeah.
so now that you're in it, I mean, you're walking in this ministry path as a family, which is such a gift and so beautiful. And I'm sure you can look back and go, wow, yes, he really truly was always with me, even when it was hard.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, that's so awesome. I love that so much. So, one thing that we kind of talked about when we were talking and getting ready to kind of set up your interview is you have a really kind of unique perspective on some of the topics that I talk about on the podcast. And you told me that you, of course, you, as you just told us, were a teen mom, but then you also found yourself in a place where you chose abortion later on. If you feel comfortable, I would love
Mhm.
if you would just kind of share what it's been like for you to have this perspective of both sides of this and kind of what God has taught you in that as you've kind of found healing and also jumped into the calling that He's placed on your life.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it is a very interesting take because I think of like, okay, I was in a place where I was a teen mom and I had a choice, right? I had a choice to keep or to have an abortion, truly. Those were options that I have, but I don't know what it was in that moment, but there was like just this strong pull of like, you're not supposed to do this. And then I found myself very shortly after pregnant again. And at that point in my life, I was in a place where I was not in a good home. I didn't have stability. I didn't have a job. Like it was just, it was a wreck. Like it was, I could not envision inviting another child into the space that I was in. And so for me, I was in a space where I felt like I have no other choice. Like this is all I have. And also looking back now, I see that even the people that I was surrounded with, that's the only choice that they knew too. And so they did it from a place of that's all they knew how to fix it. Like, yeah, having an abortion was the best fix. In that like the people that surrounded me, that's what they thought. And so looking back, like I really do think like community is so important. The people that you surround yourself with, the people that are speaking into your life matter because I know that if I and I was really battling it. I like even looking back, I know that I was wrestling with it because I think if I would have had somebody that came to me and said, "Hey, there's another way. Like there's another way out of this. There are other options. There are other things that you can do. Let me help you." Like I feel like I would have made the decision not to, but so for me, yeah, like, and I had never, and some of the ways that also that I looking back and I've heard some of your podcasts too, which I love that you talk about because it's so real. There are different ways that you deal with it. For me, it was very, I did it and then I never spoke about it again. Never told anybody. Never, the only people that knew were the people that helped me get there, or drove me there or whatever. But just never spoke about it and put it under the rug and I was okay with that. I was like hurting for the very like first couple of days and then I just remember it was like it never happened. But it does come after you. Like it's not just because we don't talk about our pain, it doesn't mean it's not going to come trying to come back up, right? Like there are moments where even I remember like there was a moment where someone was sharing with me about something that they had done and it brought back like it triggered a memory, right? Like wow, I did this thing, but I couldn't find myself to share. Like I couldn't even say it to that point. So I think it's yeah, it's so important to the people that you surround yourself, the community that you have around you, that are speaking life, right? That you have people that are wanting the best for you and that are giving you options, right? That you have there's other ways that you can there's other routes that you can take. And I know that because I had my child, right, really early on, and there was help that I got, and there was people that surrounded me, and there was just a lot of things that helped me get through. But for some reason, I found myself in the second round of that and was just like, this is too much. Um, and so I believe that one of the things, and I haven't talked about this yet, but I'll share it right now, is that I wrote a book. When I moved here to North Carolina, it was 3 years ago. I did publish in January, so it took me like two years to really write it. But in that book, I write about my testimony. It's about being a teen mom. Like that is the core of it. But within that, I talk about all the things that held me down, all the like chains that I was carrying, all the sin that I was carrying that I never shared with people, or I just never truly broke free from. And I remember when I was getting ready to just finish the book, I felt God kind of saying, "You're not done. There's something that you haven't shared in this book." And that was the abortion that I had had after my daughter. And I remember I was like, "Okay, Lord, this is like I've never shared this with anyone except for my husband, right?" And that's like another thing. I feel like if you enter into a place of like your marriage, those things are important too, like to just have those conversations, be transparent because you want the other person to love you as the whole you, right? Like all your flaws, all the things. I think it's beautiful to be able to share those things. They're hard to share them. And so I remember God was like, "No, you haven't finished. You need to add this." And I just kind of like felt like I was wrestling with it. And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna put it in there if I feel like God is giving me the words to say it, because you do need to be in a place of healing to be able to share something that you've been through." And so I remember putting it in there, and it was so healing. It was so healing to be able to just write about it. I remember when the book published, there was someone that had read my book before it published, and they recommended it to someone that was about to have, she was like debating if she was going to have one or not. And I just kind of thought like, wow, God, you are just already using this book for that one person, whoever that was for. Like you're already doing what you wanted to do with this. And that was the one thing I wrestled with putting in there, but that was like, if anything, the most impactful thing yet when it published. So that was for me just confirmation that we break chains when we speak. We break things when we share our hurt, when we allow others to come around us and pray with us and help us be aware of the things that we're battling. I think that that's how we win in life and forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love all of that. Thank you so much too for being vulnerable and sharing that here on the show, because I know that there's women who are going to relate to pieces of your story that need to hear it from you. We get to listen to others share their testimonies and we're set free when we get to hear that. But it's so nice to have such a variety of people that we can hear from, because we're
Mhm.
going to relate to different people in different ways. And I love so much what you said about well, I love so much of what you said, like all of it. But a few things that stood out to me were how you really didn't talk about it again. And it was just, sometimes it would come back up, but really it was very like something that you silently had. And I think so many can relate to that. You don't have to be out, it doesn't have to be outwardly obvious to other
Mhm.
people that you went through something for it to be
Yeah.
painful. I also love that you shared the importance of telling your spouse. If you're going to enter into a marriage, you want to make sure that that person knows all of you, and that you know all of that person.
Mhm.
And to I love how you shared about how God kind of nudged you to put that in your book when it was kind of like, oh, why do I have to put that in there? Sometimes He calls us to do the things that we don't want to do, and they're like the hard thing. But then, what a blessing that you heard that it already impacted somebody to choose life because they read what you wrote. Like that is such a gift and so amazing. And how many times does that happen that you don't know about right now? That is so cool. So cool. So, we've talked about the book. I would love if you would just kind of tell us, the title of your book. Give us, maybe kind of an overview of what it's about. I know you've kind of touched on that, but tell us also where we can find it because I'm sure we're going to want to read it after you tell us about it.
Yes. Okay. So the book is called Unshackled, a teen mom finding unstoppable freedom. And it's kind of like a memoir style, the way it was written. And it pretty much, I started from, I wanted to really write it in a way that it was like kind of telling my life's history in a sense, and where I've seen some cycles repeat themselves. So I started with my mom and just talking about how my mom came from El Salvador and she migrated. And then, I was born here in Washington, D.C., and just kind of that journey that she had. And I talk a little bit about some of the things that she went through. So my mom was also a teen mom. So I thought that that was really like just important to know because the reality is that a lot of the things that our parents go through or just family in general, if we don't break certain chains, they continue to try to get us. With our children, they continue to try to come at us. And so I think that awareness is so powerful. Awareness of like, if you can, right? I understand like there's different situations. Some people just don't know their history. But God will be their blueprint for all things. But if you have this opportunity to like just have these conversations with even your parents, like where you came from and some of the things they struggled with, I know that if I would have known some of the things my mom would have struggled with, I may have been a little bit more like aware, like, okay, I know what I'm fighting against. I know some of the temptations that are going to come after me. Um, yeah, and so there are just some things that I write about that in the book, and then I talk about like just my journey being a teen mom and meeting my husband. And then I talk about like transformation, just watching them all just be transformed little by little and one by one, right? But at the end of the day, it's like we all have been transformed. And yeah, and that's just kind of like the nutshell of the book. And um, you can find it on. I published in January of this year, the English version. I did just recently publish a Spanish version, so I got it translated and published that last month. So I'm excited about that. I'm working on an audiobook for it. It's been a long project for the audiobook. I had done one and then I kind of have to like redo one again, but I'm excited to get that out and just kind of like publish it fully as I had envisioned. So that is the goal for this year. But all of it is on Amazon. I self-published the book there, and so you can find it there. Spanish version is there, and the English version is available on Amazon.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'll have links in the show notes too, so that people can easily go find it. Because I know that they're definitely going to want to read it. That just sounds amazing. And just what a cool testimony to have that written in book form, to just like not only, for your own healing, but to set others free too in the process. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So if we want to follow along with you and just kind of hear updates on, when the audiobook version comes out or just anything else that you have going on, where can we kind of keep in touch with you and follow along with you?
hmm I do have Instagram. So on Instagram, I am Vero0408. And then I'm on Facebook, on LinkedIn as Veronica Cornejo. And then I do have a website. It's called Unshackled dot weekendnightswebsite.com.
Perfect. Awesome. And I'll have all of that in the show notes too. So if you're listening to this, you can go grab those links very easily in the show notes. So awesome. Well, Veronica, thank you so much for coming on. I would love if you would just kind of share one word of encouragement that you want to leave the listeners with today.
hmm I would say pain doesn't disappear just because it isn't discussed. So it's super important to just have those discussions, share it with somebody. For me, it wasn't a book, but it doesn't have to be that way for everyone. I think the Lord will nudge you in the way that He wants you to share it and who to share it with. But the important thing is that we're not keeping it to ourselves.
Amen. Oh my gosh. And that's so hard, but it's so worth it, as you know. And I'm just so thankful that you would share that with my listeners today because they definitely needed to hear that. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come on. I can't wait for this to air. And I'm just so thankful that you shared all of that with us today.
Thank you for having me. I love this.
Hey, beautiful friend. I hope that you found comfort from today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and leave a written review in Apple Podcast or a starred review wherever you're listening? It truly encourages me to know that this podcast is helping you. Also, if you're looking for more support from other women who have walked the same walk as you, please join us in our free Facebook community, Abortion Recovery for Christian Women. Please know that I pray for you daily and I am here for you. I'll meet you back in a few days for another episode, but until then, take care and God bless.